Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Get Off My Lawn podcast. Today is Thursday night. It is September 2nd, which means it's Every Second Matters Day. So happy Every Second Matters Day out there to everybody. Why is this thing saying that they're having a trouble streaming on Facebook side? If you guys are watching on Facebook out there, drop me some comments because I want to know what's up. Why is it telling me this? We should be good to go. All right. I don't know if this is coming through on the Facebook page or not. But if you are out there in Facebook land, then let me know. So, alrighty. I wasn't planning on doing this tonight. I told everybody that we were skipping tonight. And then the event at my my full-time job that my company sponsored got I don't know that it got rained out. I think it is kind of rainy tonight, but they called it off due to weather this morning because there was a forecast of some rain and wind and hail and stuff, and having an outdoor concert. Apparently they didn't want to get rained on, so who knows. But anyway, here we are, and I didn't really plan ahead or have a lot of time to plan ahead on a topic, so we'll just kind of roll tonight and talk about Every Second Matters and whatever else comes up as far as topics that are related to the Second Amendment. That means you guys out there that are watching and commenting, we're going to need your help to maybe keep the discussion going tonight. We'll see what kind of comments, what kind of chatter that we get from everybody out there in the comment section. So please, if you're watching, drop that comment in the live chat section so we know that you're out there. Looks like we've got a few people already in the house over on the YouTube side. Kingpin Calaveras is doing double duty. We'll see him in the panel here in just a second. Gunpowder Beauty's out there. Pat Hirsch is out there and in here with us. Keith Gregory's out there. So hopefully the notification goes out and a lot more people are able to join us here, and we'll just have some fun after I told everybody not to do this tonight. So we'll see what happens. Let's go over here and just introduce everybody that we've got on the panel. We've got some familiar faces and maybe a not very familiar face just because he's not always with us due to his work. But real quick here, we'll just go kind of around the screen. Let's go clockwise. So we'll start with Defense Dad. Welcome. How are you?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
Doing great. Glad to have you along. Next up, coming to us from the left coast, out there behind enemy lines in California, we've got the Tactical Pickle, Calaveras 32 Special, whose avatar isn't showing tonight. So you can run your camera if you want to. I've got plenty of bandwidth to support it, but otherwise your normal avatar isn't there, dude. So how are you?
I'm doing all right. I appreciate the invite, and I'm sorry it's been so long since I've been able to make it. That's for work changes, and the show time I think moved up a little bit. So a lot of times, I'm catching the tail end, of the show on my drive home.
Yeah.
But that's for as for weather, beautiful 84 degrees and sunny here. But as for people showing up in the chat, if we're letting gunpowder in, we must have lower our standards on the show. Please don't throat punch me.
I literally, number one, I don't think I have standards as far as who can come in and watch, unless people are obviously a bot or they're just trying to sell something. You don't get banned out of my chat unless you absolutely just can't abide by the rules. Also, that means out in the chat, because people do replay the live chat as well. Keep the comments clean. Do us a favor. Just clean it up. PG-13 rules go in the live chat as well as the panel. But I tell you what, even if I had high standards, Gunpowder Beauty is she's a classy lady, and so she would still qualify for those high standards. See, Dale,
I just
that's
like
how you avoid the throat punch. Just so you know. All right, glad to have you here. Moving right along, we will say hello to Travis P11, also checking in from the capital city.
That's right. Yeah, how's it going tonight, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Good. I think my voice is going to hold out all night. If not, I've got some Luden's cherry. They call them cough drops. They're pretty much candy. They're just
candy. That's what we
candy,
used to say in
but
school.
they
They're
do keep
caltrops.
my they do keep my mouth moistened so that so my throat doesn't get so dry. So no, I'm doing great. How about you, man?
Doing all right, doing all right. I appreciate the invite. Thanks for having me on. And again, it's always awesome to be here. So thank you.
Yeah, you betcha. All right.
Cool.
And then I don't know if anybody else is going to pop in because I sent a lot of links out, but rounding out our panel for now, from a bunker in an undisclosed location deep underground near the Earth's core where it's still warm, the last child of Zion. And if you haven't seen The Matrix, that doesn't make any sense. It's Pat.
Evening, John. How's everybody out there tonight?
Well, I'm doing great, and hopefully everybody in the chat is as well. All right, let's pull that off of the solo. I do want to, the best part about StreamYard is we can put stuff on the screen. Gunpowder says, I just got myself a lifetime get out of throat punch free card because it never hurts to kiss the booty just a little bit. So there you go, Pickle. That's how you do it. Okay. So who else is out there? I see Jeff's over there on the Facebook side. What's up, Jeff? I see you there. Gizzard's in the house. So he's going to hold it down in the chat like he always does for us. I tell you what, he's my bouncer. So that's what we'll do. Gizzard and Gunpowder are the bouncers tonight, and they will throw anybody out that can't follow the chat rules. But hopefully that doesn't scare anybody off. Hopefully you're grown up enough that you can come in and comment, and we can have some fun, and you don't have to drop the F-bombs and stuff out there. So
I don't know. That's for Gizzard. That's for if you're as long as you're not a deer, you shouldn't be in that much danger from Gizzard.
Right. Until deer season, in which case then I think you're pretty safe. Just kidding. He's too close to me, and I've seen him shoot. He's a pretty good shot, so I really shouldn't make him mad because he could probably show me up on the range sometime, challenge me for some bragging rights, and then I'd be like just crying. Everybody else, just about everybody does have a wrench, don't they? You're right. We need some more people. Would everybody do me a favor, because this is impromptu, kind of. I did finally get the links made mid-afternoon, and I tried to share them across Facebook, but the YouTube link may not have gone out to everybody, and obviously, you know how notifications work, that we're live. People may not have seen that. So if you want to just go ahead and share the link to watch this around, that would be great. I will never ever tell somebody not to do that. So please just take some time right now before we get into it and share the link if you're listening. Even if you're not listening live, if you're catching this on the replay, just, you know what, wherever you found this, share the link to it. Tell somebody else about it. Let's grow our viewership. That would be amazing, or our listenership. So real quick, I do just want to mention that we are very proud to be part of the Self-Defense Radio Network. So make sure you're going to find us and a lot of other great shows, even better than this one. I know it's hard to believe, but they're out there. So go to sdrn.us and check out all of the cool self-defense, firearm, and Second Amendment related podcasts out there. And I think we're just going to kind of streamline the announcements. If you check the description of the video, you will see the link to be able to support us, either get some cool stuff or go to Patreon. So those are out there in the video description on Facebook and YouTube both. So you can just go there, check that out, click those links, and just shop. Make sure if you go to the swag site, make sure you're using the discount code Sandhills so that you can get 10% off your order. Okay.
That's with the swag side. I do have a question.
Yeah.
Has all the swag been converted over to, say, Sandhills Media, or is there some of the legacy stuff there?
So there's absolutely zero converted to Sandhills Media yet. Crumpy's a very busy man, and it's his website. Black Swan Tactical is Crumpy's merchandise site, and he was cool enough to offer me a spot on it. But I'm at his mercy, and you don't look a gift horse in the mouth, right? So sometimes I send him a message and remind him that we still need to take those images that I gave him, a couple months ago now, it feels like, and get those incorporated into some new stuff. Plus, I've got all kinds of ideas for shirts that with sayings and cool graphics and stuff. And I'm kind of I know Travis is coming up with some stuff, but I'm a fount of ideas. I just want to throw that out there. but I also want them all to say Sandhills or Sandhills Media on them. So I'm not going to give Travis all my ideas, but other than just to try to win some free stuff that I didn't win.
Come on, man. Can I just have one or two? I mean, I'm
No,
not a great
no.
person.
Can I just have
God.
one or two firearms when you give them away? No.
Yeah. You never asked. Jeez.
But
Whatever, bro.
no, that's a great question. Right now, everything's still the Sandhill Shooter stuff, or the best part is the Sandhill Sweetheart stuff. There's a couple hats with the old Sandhill Shooter logo, a couple stickers. Okay, that's cool, and I appreciate you guys wearing them. Love it. But go get the Sandhills Sweetheart with the green ribbon for lymphoma. It either says "Her fight is my fight" or it says "Not today, cancer." You can get either one or both. I think you should order one of everything in every size, color, the men's, the women's. Just get all the shirts, all the hoodies, all the hats, the coffee mugs, everything. Just go there and order all of it. You can get 10% off. Why would you not? So, and I have no problem shamelessly promoting myself. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm pretty humble about it. So, we lost Pickle. He may be back. We will see. We need some cross-platform. I agree. We need to collaborate. Some of us. We need to do like a Nebraska 2A
Limited edition
or
t-shirt.
2A creator stuff. We need to come up with our own little coalition. Come up with a logo. Because, I mean, 4 out of 5 people on the screen right now are sitting in Nebraska, with the possible exception of Pat, because we don't actually know where he is. But I think you start out in Nebraska before you go down the rabbit hole, and then who knows how far, what dimension it takes you into in the multiverse. So we don't even know if he's in this galaxy anymore. I think there's a wormhole. So, all right. Every second matters. Let's let's not. Before we talk about that, let's talk about our sponsor of the night, bringing us live on YouTube and Facebook both. This week's episode is sponsored by Riding Shotgun with Charlie, who is also on the Self-Defense Radio Network. Riding Shotgun with Charlie is a great interview show that brings you right into the heart of intimate conversations where you can be a fly on the rearview mirror. The show's host, Charlie Cook, talks freedom, firearms, and anything related with guests from all over the country. Filmed within the safe confines of Charlie's Stagecoach, passengers open up about their lives and what is on their mind. Riding Shotgun with Charlie is available on YouTube, Gunstreamer, and the OpsLens app, and most popular podcast platforms. Visit Charlie on the web at ridingshotgunwithcharlie.com. You know what? I never remember to put these on the screen like that. There's the website if you're watching on the screen, Riding Shotgun with Charlie, just spell it all out.com. And be sure to check out his cool swag page. There's a link on that website. There's a link to the swag page with all new Riding Shotgun with Charlie t-shirts, stickers, patches, and more. Now that we have said all that, Charlie, I don't know if you watch all of these or any of these when you're not in the panel, and I don't know if you hear what I say about you if you're not in the panel listening with us, but I've got a bone to pick. Because I know for a fact that there are people who have ridden shotgun, who have been interviewed, whose shows have not yet dropped. And then over the weekend, somebody goes to Tennessee, hooks up with John Hickok, fast tracks that interview and drops that before anybody else who's waiting in line. And I will not name names, but there are some very, very important people waiting for their show to drop. Just saying.
Hey, man, you're not supposed to be letting my OnlyFans stuff out, secrets out.
No, not that video. A whole different video.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah. You're going to have to share that link on your own stuff because, again, it violates the PG-13 rule for now. But come, what is it, October, November? It's all got to be cleaned up. There's no adult content left on OnlyFans. So I don't know how else you're going to make money, Defense Dad, but you're going to have to come up with something better. So Gunpowder wants to know out the chat if there are infant clothes. I don't think so. That's not something that's occurred to me.
Spreadshirt will do that. They put your logo on everything.
They will.
Spreadshirt. Yeah.
Right, but I've got a Spreadshirt page, but that's not actually where I go to stuff, because Crumpy's Black Swan Tactical, I think has a little bit better reach than my Spreadshirt link that nobody even knows I have and nobody's ever used. And so people do actually order from blackswantactical.com. So we need to talk to him about maybe expanding the line just a little bit. There used to be no female clothing at all, but then when we added stuff for Sandhill Sweetheart, then I wanted her to be able to wear some of it. So there are women's shirts, women's hoodies, but I don't think there's anything for tiny people, because I have never grown a tiny people, and I have no tiny people of my own to grow. And so the thought of clothing a tiny people just never occurs to me. So but if anybody, if we pressure Crumpy a little bit, we can probably get him to add like some kids shirts or some onesies or stuff like that. So it's a great idea. And yes, an Every Second Matters design is something I want to incorporate when we actually get some stuff going on, along with, there will be also a Red Friday design that'll be coming. I don't know when. Like I said, when somebody offers to host your stuff on his site, and not charge me rent to be there, then I try to be a gracious guest and just not complain. So just got to find some time in his schedule and my schedule, which are arguably, his is way busier than mine, but I know how busy I am, and I know he's got to be busier. So it just takes a while, but we'll get it there. I'm hoping by the end of the year we can phase out the legacy stuff and bring in some new stuff. So wow, that took a long time to answer a simple question for Calaveras. That's just, no, none of it's phased over yet. I could have saved a lot of words, just said that.
Bro, we just let you go with it, man. You were running it good, so we don't want to stop you.
Appreciate
I
you.
think your more in-depth explanation was a much better explanation than trying to cut it short.
Okay. Yeah, because I could have just said no, and then you'd have been like, okay, but why? So now everybody knows why. Whether you wanted to know or not, now you know. And knowing is half the battle. So Every Second Matters in an infant size could be nice or creepy, depending on how you look at it. I don't think it would be creepy at all. I think that there may be some moms demanding action whose heads would explode, which is even more reason, in my mind, to design such a thing. So yeah, I think we need an Every Second Matters onesie in whatever size newborn is, all the way up to 6-7 XL, just in case. I want to cover everybody from one side, one end of the spectrum to the other. So, or whatever size people want. That's what I think. So, all right, let's see here. What else is going on? Anybody out there listening, or anybody here in the panel? I didn't really get any chances today because I was at work most of the day and came home, ate, and came in here. So I didn't really have any opportunities to wear my hat a lot. And when I did have my hat on, nobody really asked about Every Second Matters patch that's on it. And just to show that off, if you want your own Every Second Matters patch, now you have to be vigilant and keep up with the website, but it's gearwebsites.com. GEARWEBSITES.com. Go check that out. Oh, does yours glow in the dark too?
My
glow in
the dark one's actually on my body armor.
It's just your computer screen it was cast in a color that made it look like maybe it was a kind of a glow in the dark. Like this one, I don't think I can make it dark enough in here to show that it glows, but it does. If I was telling everybody before we went live, if I was to turn off all the lights, then I'll glow. But there's a lot of lights. I'd have to turn off about 5 of them to get that to happen. So I'm not going to mess with it. That sounds like a song.
It's Vanilla Ice, I think.
To the extreme, I rock a mic like a vandal. Anyway,
light up the stage. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, we're not waxing no chumps like no candles in here. We're a family-friendly chat. So
word,
word, dear mother. Wow, this is going to be one of those chats that at this point, I'm not sure why anybody would be sharing the link to this one. We haven't gone anywhere with it. Anybody besides, obviously I didn't, anybody else have a chance to actually have a conversation today about the Second Amendment and what every second matters means, or just in general?
Yeah, actually, I did just briefly with my dad. I showed him a video here a little while ago, and he goes, "What's the deal with every second matters?" He says, "I don't get that." So I had to tell him today on what it actually meant. So he was like, "Oh, okay." And he's a gun guy, just like me. Granted, he's not as heavy into guns like I am or anything, but he's always been a proponent of everybody of legal standing to own a gun. So yeah, so actually I did have a conversation today. So
very cool. Very cool. Even the people who are pro Second Amendment and pro gun, that just because they're that doesn't mean that they understand what every second matters means and that it has anything to do with the Second Amendment. You can't tell by the logo that it has anything to do with the Second Amendment, which is how G-Web's designed it, so that it would be kind of how do I want to say that? Not really stealthy, but just not really overtly Second Amendment related, so that people would have to ask, what's that mean? Every second matters, so
yeah, it's not screaming at you,
right?
Anyway,
yeah, it's not up in your face, but at the same time, people can ask, hey, what does that even mean? What's that all about? Although I'm a little concerned last year and this year, that every second matters. Maybe people don't want to ask because they're afraid that it could be, some sort of a twist on the Black Lives Matter versus the All Lives Matter argument that some people want to get into, especially online, and all that. So maybe every second matters. Maybe there aren't as many people that want to just ask about it as there maybe were before the world went to crap in a handbasket on us here. So
right.
I don't know.
It might be nice to kind of prompt people on a history lesson. It does predate Black Lives Matter, correct? The organization.
Oh yeah.
Every second. I mean, the actual Every Second Matters patch, because I mean they've been out for forever. 10 years or if not more at this point.
I'm trying to remember when did G-Webs, apparently there was a live chat at some point where the idea was born, and then G kind of ran with it. And somewhere I've actually got the audio version of the audio file of that live chat, but I'm not sure where I even have that anymore. Or I don't even remember who hosted it. If it's one that he hosted. G's very good about hosting live chats just all over the place at all times of the day and night.
Yep.
So
yeah, actually last week, he had the patch, the Friday patch special.
Free patch Friday.
Yeah. Actually went on to his site and got, I believe it was 6 or 8 of the Every Second Matters patches.
So you're the reason they sold out.
Yeah, and a bundle patch. And so
very cool. Yeah. Yeah. If you order a patch on Friday, for every patch that you order on Friday, you'll also get a free random patch of G's choosing, whatever he's got the most of. So yeah, Friday is definitely the day. That's tomorrow, I think. If you're watching this live, it's tomorrow anyway. So go check out gearwebsites.com and get in on Free Patch Friday. I think he's still running that every week, as far as I know he is. So I don't see G out there in the chat, so he could comment if he was listening in. There, Kingpin's got a link over on the YouTube side. I'm going to actually, let me see if I can copy and paste this. Is there a way to do that? No, there's not. So we're just going to do this. Here's what we're going to do is we're going to stop that. I'm going to copy the link to it. There we go. Then we'll just throw it right back in. We'll put it on if you're watching on YouTube, you can already see it. I don't know why it's if you're over there on the Sandhills Media Facebook page, I don't think this is coming through. If you're watching on Facebook, you must be on the new page I started for the Get Off My Lawn podcast. So it's not letting me make any posts or anything over there. Not sure what's up, but that sucks. Oh well, we'll figure it out, and I'll just repost the link to it. Kingpin says G-Webs is live, so that's why he's not listening to us. All right, no worries. Okay. So Pat had a chance to talk to Dad a little bit about it. Did anybody else get a chance to have any conversations today 2A related?
Unfortunately not. I worked by myself until 3 o'clock today, then my coworker came in, then I just came home, but wanted to.
Yeah.
That's why we're here tonight.
That is why we're here tonight. So there may be somebody that eventually listens to this, doesn't actually know what every second matters actually means. And so it's just pretty simple. I mean, it's a logo, it's a saying that everybody can have. I mean, G-Webs could have trademarked it or copyrighted it. He chose not to because it's not something that he wants to capitalize on. He just wants to get the word out there. And that's what grassroots means, right? So let me see here. Every second matters in a nutshell to me just means that the Second Amendment is it enumerates a right that the government doesn't give you. You have it because you're an American citizen and you have not committed any crimes that would prohibit you from possessing a firearm. Therefore, just because you were born and just because you breathe air and just because you're a citizen, you have the right to keep and bear arms. And the Second Amendment, to me, is what guarantees that the government can never take that away. The government doesn't give us the right. The government doesn't supply us with any rights. The fact that we're born supplies us with those basic human rights, and the right to defend ourselves and the right to defend ourselves using whatever method we choose. I think that's a basic human right. So every second matters just means that the Second Amendment ultimately does matter to everyone, at least every citizen, whether or not they agree, whether or not they realize it. The Second Amendment is, I mean, those of us in the panel, I think this is not going to be anything that none of you have ever said before. But without the Second Amendment, we don't have the rest of them. If the Second Amendment were to be struck down, then we no longer have a way to defend the First Amendment. We no longer have a way to defend any other amendments because the tiger has been defanged and declawed, right? All of our methods of really defending ourselves with any proficiency, those are gone. So,
John, I got a question for you. Have you ever used that argument with somebody that's been opposed to, or that anybody that's pro firearms or pro firearms control or anti 2A? Have you ever explained to them, you don't have a right to free speech if you don't have access to protect yourself and defend yourself? Because it is a good defense, and I always seem to forget that one in the arguments. That without the second, you have a first.
We're not only the only nation that guarantees its citizens the right to keep and bear arms. We're also the only country that guarantees its citizens the right to speak out against the government. But that's only because the government cannot have more power than the people. The Constitution limits the powers of the government. That's why the document is in place. It sets out the form of government that we are going to abide by, and the fact that the government only works at the consent of the governed. So that's why it's by the people, of the people, and for the people, because the people have the power in our form of democratic republic government. And so to answer your question, Travis, no, I've never used that. But the only reason is because I've never actually gotten anybody who doesn't agree with the fact that I have the right to keep and bear arms and any and all arms that I want, I can't get anybody to have the conversation with me. I don't know anybody that's that 100% adamant about taking away people's guns or that people shouldn't have certain things. I know people that think that. I know people that sometimes make those kind of comments or ask, I don't know that they're rhetorical questions, but ask such questions on social media, but they won't actually have the conversation with me, which tells me that they don't know what they think. They're not very cemented in their beliefs. And I mean, that's fine. You guys know how I am. If you don't agree with me, it's no reason for me to not talk to you. That's not even a reason for me to not like you. But I know that I'm weird like that, especially on social media. Most people want an echo chamber. Most people want to be surrounded by either yes people or like-minded individuals. And I know what I'm about. I am not afraid of anybody who's about something that's different than what I'm about. I may not always know the right answers or the right things to say in a conversation, but there's nobody out there that's going to intimidate me just because they disagree with me. So I'm happy to sit down with anybody about any topic and have a discussion, even if they don't agree with me, because I am one of the few people left, I think, in this country and maybe on the planet who thinks that having my beliefs challenged is good for me. It's healthy for me. So, but I know a lot of people don't think that because they can't handle it. They're weak. They don't know what they think, or they don't know why they think what they think, because it's not their thought. It's a thought somebody else gave them. They just said, "Oh, okay, yeah, well, that's what I believe." They don't know why. So, what good are they on either side? And that there's people that are pro gun and pro 2A that have never had an original thought in their brain either. They've only ever picked up thoughts at rallies or whatnot. And they're easy to recognize because when they're talking to an anti-gun person, they don't know what to say besides "shall not be infringed" and "cold dead hands" and "come and take it." That's all they know because they've never had an original thought in their brain before. So we're the other side's doesn't have a monopoly on this.
And it's not all the other side. I have a family member. There are people out there who think they're pro 2A, but I have a family member that I've had this conversation with so many times. He says he's pro 2A, but he doesn't think anybody needs anything more than a shotgun or a revolver. In fact, he has a shotgun in his house, but he refuses to keep any ammunition in the house because he thinks it's too dangerous. He thinks that his dog is going to protect them. So in a bit of a break-in, the combination of that and calling the police is going to protect their family. So there's a lot of people out there who think they're pro 2A, but they're borderline anti 2A, and they don't realize it.
Yeah.
Dude, the other one that drives me nuts too, and we need to maybe come up with a nice counter to this one as well. You can have your guns, but you should really have a background check, or you should really have training, because you have to have training before you can drive a car. You have to have a license for it to drive a car. And again, I get into the argument the Constitution doesn't say that you have the right to have a car. Nebraska allows you the privilege to drive, and John, we mentioned that before. But that just seems like an argument I have so many times with people as well. You should have to have this class or that training before you get it. And I say, well, you can push for those things, but then it just leads to more regulation down the road.
Well, but then it's not a right.
Absolutely.
If it's a right, it doesn't come with strings. No strings attached. If you give somebody something and you expect something back, then you didn't give it to them. It's not a gift. A gift is there's only one way it's a gift, is if it's freely given with nothing expected in return. Rights are that way. Rights are freely given with nothing expected in return. And if you regulate them in any way, shape, or form, they're no longer a right. We've turned them into a privilege, even though we shouldn't. And so whenever I hear somebody say, the car thing is so easy to destroy. And I don't know that I necessarily want to say destroy it, but it should never trip anybody up if you understand what rights mean versus privileges. And so And again, because there is no right, there's no constitutional guarantee in the U.S. Constitution, and I don't know for sure, but I would bet my left shoe that if I read all 50 state constitutions, there's nothing in there guaranteeing the right to drive an automobile on a public thoroughfare. Therefore, it is not. It's not a right. It's a privilege, and one that you must pay dearly for, and you must show competency for. Now, I agree that people should get training for guns, especially if you're going to carry one, especially if you're going to carry one in public. I think you should know how to use it. But I also think that if you're going to speak, you should know how to do that too. And there's no requirement for any training on how to speak publicly. Nobody has to take a speech class. Nobody has to take a journalism class. Nobody has to. You have to take English class if you go to public school, but that's only to teach you how to fix a dangling participle. I mean, there's doctors for fixing my dangling participles these days. So, that was a joke, guys.
I think they make it over the counter
I thought you
salve
were
for that.
serious. I was like,
Yeah,
well,
I
get that checked out, man.
think there's a cream for
Hey,
it.
boy.
There's a pill for everything.
You suffer from a dangling participle? If so,
Yeah, that's actually
Yep.
isn't that a COVID symptom now? Is dangling participles?
I think that's dingleberries, or is that the people that?
Oh shoot!
Like,
The dog's got
No, I think the COVID is it's the the thing.
yeah, you know the thing.
Yeah.
So that's just it though. If anybody can show me another right that requires any kind of training or permitting, I would love to know what that is. And I've had this conversation with people before, and I've had people try to tell me, well, you can't get a job at a newspaper without a journalism degree. Bull crap. I know people at small town papers all over this state who don't have a journalism degree. In fact, here's the thing. You don't even have to have a degree or a permit of any kind to print a newspaper and circulate it. Nothing. There's no newspaper license issued by the state. There's not. Now, if you want a good job at a good paper, then competition and free market dictates that you want the credentials and the education to show that you actually have the training necessary. But it's not it's not a requirement to start your own newspaper. If you've got enough money to buy a printing press, then go for it. You can print whatever you want. Just understand that you are liable for that. And if you print things that aren't true, you can be sued because they're not true. But if you're printing things that are true, or you're printing opinions, the First Amendment protects that. As long as we have the Second Amendment, the First Amendment protects that. So yeah, anybody that tells me that people, I'm okay with people having this right as long as they get trained for it. Yeah, I don't know. That really rubs me the wrong way, because then again, it shows that they're only just repeating things that they've heard somebody else say. They've never thought it through. And it also tells me they don't understand what rights are, and they don't understand what specific rights they have as a citizen of the United States. Because if you asked 10 people on the street to list all 10 amendments in the Bill of Rights, out of 10 people, honestly, wherever you live, could half of them tell you all 10 amendments? The first 5 amendments in the Bill of Rights, how many people on the street could tell you the first 5? Even if they're not in order, what they are and what they mean. It's just not there. There are people that aren't aware that they actually have the right. It's amendment number 3, actually. The government can't force you to house soldiers unless we're actually in war here in our country. So if we're not attacked by a foreign power, then they can't ever force you to house soldiers and give them your food and give them your bed. But how many people even know that that's a thing, that that's an amendment? Not very many if they've never read the Constitution. It's right in here. It's not a big document, guys. Right there. If you don't have one of these, let me know and I'll try to get you one. Let's see here. I know DJ was out there. Sounds like maybe DJ might have a few things to say. DJ Play Nice out there. Did you email me? DJ, if you want a link, we'll get you in here. Just send me an email. And NE Sandhills Media gmail.com, and I'll get you the link over there. So just shoot me your email address, DJ. We'll get you in here. Hey, Merle's over there on the Facebook side. What's up, Merle? All right. Am I missing anything else? Agorizer says you have a right to travel, but not to careen down the road in 2 tons of deadly steel. And that's true. You do. You have the right normally, when we're not in a exception to the rule, to the law, actually, you can travel within, from state to state within this country without any kind of documentation. That's how it's supposed to be. But it's weird how all of a sudden, when under the guise of safety, the government wants to say, well, you can't cross this state line, you can't come into our state now. It's not how it works. It's just not, guys. They can't keep you out of their state. They can't keep you in yours. That is absolutely unconstitutional. So anybody that tries to tell you otherwise either doesn't know the Constitution or has something to gain from it. So what other myths can we dispel tonight while we're passing along nuggets of wisdom? M. Gabriel says the car thing is garbage. Yeah, that's true. Agorizer's got a good one. Where'd that go to? It's up here. A fine suit being necessary to a smartly dressed man. The right of the people to fabric and sewing needles shall not be infringed. Yes. Yes. Plus, I've heard that every girl's crazy about a sharp-dressed man. So, it's true if ZZ Top said it's true. What else? Let's see.
And having a really pretty hot rod to go along with being sharp dressed certainly doesn't hurt none either.
Right. And if you're blaring some ZZ Top on the radio of said hot rod, even better. So, where was the comment? I completely goofed that up earlier, didn't I? Didn't I say Democratic Republic? When I meant to say Constitutional Republic. I know what my form of government is. I really do, I promise. It's not a democracy, for those of you that aren't sure. Democracy just means that 51% decide for the other 49%.
Right, that's where I've had that conversation with a few people about the difference between a democracy and a republic, and then having, adding in the constitutional republic and what changes, what that makes to the whole, to the definition.
Yep. Yeah, because the constitutional republic means that not only are we represented, but we also have the rule of law. And we're not subject to the whims of human beings. We have absolute law. And anytime we have a question, that's what we refer to, is the law. So it's not subjective. It's very objective. It's designed to be that way. If anybody wants to vote and say 51% of America voted that, we're not going to be a constitutional republic anymore, that doesn't matter. The law is designed in such a way that 51% of the people can't determine anything without adhering to the Constitution in the process. So, no, very, very great point there. I think way too many people either slept through government class or just didn't have to take it. And I know in my high school back, 1,000 years ago in the mid to late 90s, it was required social studies and English. Those were the 2 classes that we had to take all 4 years. And by the time I was a senior, those were the only 2 required. Everything else was an elective. And I got to pretty much pick my schedule, but I had to take it in senior year at my high school. It was American government, and I had to take English because those are things that everybody needs to know about. But I don't even know if they're required anymore across the country.
To get into universities, it requires so many years of core areas like math, history, science, and English. But it depends on the university you go to. Depends on the program you're going to go into.
Sure.
Yep. Yeah, because back when I was going to school, when I was junior high, they still had American government as a class, and by the time that I got into senior high, they had dropped that altogether. So, which was kind of unfortunate because the guy could have learned a little bit more about that through high school and could have had some debates back and forth on stuff like that. So, yeah, it was unfortunate.
Right, and that's what I know. At least for out here, the public high school I went to, that's for it wasn't wasn't a civics class like it had been for years. It was, they called it U.S. government, which taught you, okay, yes, there is the Constitution, yes, there is the various three branches. Unfortunately, it really depends on what teacher you have too, on how much detail they put in about how the process works.
Yeah, and most of the teachers that you're going to find, and I know that's a generalization, and I know there are some very great teachers out there who really do want to teach the kids how to think and not what to think. But most of the schools, you're going to find a vast majority, I think, nationwide, you're going to find people who they want to pick and choose what they teach out of the curriculum, especially when it comes to history and American government. And ultimately, that is failing our kids. Therefore, they don't even know how the government's supposed to operate, which makes it that much easier to convince them when they're young and impressionable that people should just be able to get free stuff and the government should pay for it. And they have no concept of money, especially, and it's getting worse because of electronic dollars now, right? All of our cash is electrons, ones and zeros. And so when you've got a debit card and you never actually touch cash because you've got direct deposit, you pay everything on a card, money becomes a foreign concept, and not enough kids are playing Monopoly these days to understand how money works. And so when it comes time to make more money, and I don't mean earn more money, I mean literally create, print currency and create more money out of thin air, they don't understand the concept of inflation and how it devalues the dollar, and how pretty soon the cash that we have, and I don't know if you've got it buried in a mayonnaise jar in the backyard or if you got it stuffed in your mattress, but either way, that cash is not going to be worth the linen that it's printed on. So
I think you meant to say a hermetically sealed mayonnaise jar on Funkin' Wagnall's front porch.
I think what I meant to say was, would you please send me the GPS coordinates of where your mayonnaise jar is located?
No.
It was worth a try.
Isn't that the whole point of having a bunker? Is you're supposed to have a hermetically sealed, room that where you keep that stuff there, Pat?
Yes. The house that my address is supposedly at, that's just a cover. You don't know where I'm at. That's just all. It's all bluff.
A lot of people don't realize this, but Pat himself is hermetically sealed, and so it's he was
in a 10-mile bubble. 10-mile bubble.
He was one of the early experiments of hermetically sealing a human being, and that's how we got Pat. So there was actually he's a clone. So are you the clone, or is the other one the clone? Who's the original? Who's the carbon copy?
I'm the original. The other one that lives in another undisclosed location in a bunker somewhere in God knows where is the clone.
Hey, Pat.
County.
Because a lot of people call Webster County, Nebraska, God knows where. So it's what it's called.
Hey, Pat, execute Order 66.
I gotta go.
Wait, not the younglings. All right then. Wow. I know all 10 people who are watching right now have got to be just wildly entertained. This is awesome. Out there in the chat, does anybody besides Gunpowder, who's buffering and probably won't hear this for 10 minutes, does anybody have anything else that you want to mention as far as Every Second Matters, the Second Amendment in general, the way our government works, or doesn't, but it ought to because it was designed this way? Anything like that?
Yeah, actually, I was going to bring up something.
Go for it.
And Calaveras probably knows something about this, being on the left coast or Tommyville over there. A sheriff trying to make psych evals mandatory in order to own a gun.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that one. Doesn't surprise me none. But yeah, again, that goes back to Sandhill's point about if you have to pass tests and or go through a process in order to get a right, meaning it's no longer a right, it's being treated as a privilege, which violates the whole point of having inalienable rights, passed down to you by the fact that you're living. And yeah, that's just that's a no bueno.
Very, very true. But honestly, I mean, we see this time and time again. And for the last, well, really ever since 1934 and earlier, we've seen the Second Amendment get treated like it's a lesser amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is a lesser right because there's always been those people that we didn't want to have the guns. Right? It started out with the freed slaves, excuse me, and the Native Americans. It's also been the poors. They didn't want those people to be able to arm themselves. There have been groups of people, entire races of people, honestly, who have been targeted over the years by gun control and things like that. And so ultimately, we've always seen the Second Amendment get just dumped on, just crapped on, like it's not important because somebody who's not objective, somebody who is subjective, somebody thinks that they know better and that somebody else shouldn't have that. I don't want them to have that. Therefore, this right, I'm just going to treat it like it's not as important because I don't want them to have that. Now we're seeing that spill over, though, into a lot more of our constitutionally protected rights. I don't want them to be able to say that. Therefore, I don't want them to have the right to say it. I want to make it a crime for them to say it. I want it to be called hate speech because I said that it was hateful and hurtful. It doesn't matter what they meant. What matters is how I received it, and I am offended, and I want to be coddled, and I want to be important. And so ultimately that's what's happening, right? Everywhere, especially social media, but not just there. Literally there are municipalities, counties, and maybe even states now that are working on laws pertaining to hate speech or just hate crimes, which I don't understand. I totally don't understand the concept of labeling something a hate crime and giving it a different penalty. And here's the thing. Now, I totally understand where they're coming from. If somebody is murdered, they're hung from a tree in their yard because they're black, and there's a cross burning in their front yard, casting light on their corpse as it swings from a noose in their tree. Obviously very hateful, right? I mean, that's a Klan type of an activity there. Total a-holes, right? That's bad. We can all agree that that's bad. That's reprehensible. So that would be considered a hate crime. And if they are able to catch and convict the person that did it, then that apparently comes with a stiffer penalty now, more jail time or whatever is the case, depending on the state. But let me ask you this. What if it was, what if the perpetrator, the suspect or the convicted criminal was the same skin color as the person hanging from the tree and it no longer is a hate crime? So either way, that person's family who's murdered wants justice. How is it fair to them? Or an identical crime somewhere else, but skin color is not a factor. How is it fair to that victim's family, that whoever's convicted of that murder doesn't get the same penalty as this other one. And I'm not trying to say that anybody's not special. What I'm trying to say is nobody's special anymore. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's what equality means. It doesn't mean that we're all special. It means that nobody is any more special than the rest. And in the eyes of the law, nobody can be more special than the rest. That's just the way it's got to work. Now, special needs people, also we have to have special concessions when we are dealing with those people's needs, right? But what I'm saying is, overall, the rights as they are applied from this Constitution, the rights that it lists and guarantees, those are applied evenly to every person, regardless of who they are, regardless of where they were born, what their last name is, what their skin color is, what their DNA looks like, what their gender is, what their pronouns are, who they love, what their job is, how much money they make, whether, what kind of skills they have, or physical abilities or mental abilities they have. None of that matters. Everybody has the same rights. The Second Amendment applies equally to everyone because we all have the right to keep ourselves alive. So the First Amendment applies equally to everyone. And if you worship in a church that I don't like, then that's on me to deal with it, not you to change it or to go to a different church or to stop worshiping your deity of choice. Or you have the choice, you have the option to not worship any deity. That's an option here. Nobody can force you to go to church. Nobody can force you not to. And I don't care about COVID. Nobody can force you to go to church, and nobody can force you not to. That's just the way that works. And anything else is an infringement of our rights. The Constitution doesn't have any provision in there for just because there's a bug that none of this applies. There's no clause in the Constitution that says, just in case the CDC wants to crack down and say that this is bad, all this is out the window until the CDC, the WHO, and the NIH say otherwise. All hail Dr. Fauci. No, there's no provision for that. There's no clause for that. So, I don't know. Riddle me another one.
Yeah,
Gunpowder says, okay, I need some people to help me out with some of these conversations out here. Let's see. Jeff, I saw your comment about San Francisco. I kind of do want to talk about that. Gunpowder says, has anyone seen V for Vendetta? She can see some of that happening here with how things are going. Scott79 says, tell that to the LGBTQ people. I've said a lot of things. I was kind of just riffing there. So tell which part, Scott. I want to know exactly which part you meant, because there could be a good conversation to be had from that. Let's see. Jeff over on Facebook. San Francisco wanting to pay criminals $6,500 not to shoot people. Well, it's $300 a month, I believe, right now. It's $300 a month. I heard somebody talking about this earlier on I think it was
really, that's a thing?
It was either Chad Prather or the News and Why It Matters. Two things I like to watch every day and keep up with some current events. So I believe it's $300 a day. I don't know where the $6,500 comes from, but I also admit that I don't know all the right details. But it doesn't matter what the amount is. Here's what's happening. The mayor, the city government, is stupid, and they think that the way to keep criminals from shooting other human beings is to pay them cash, because that's somehow, I can't even wrap my head around the concept why this would make any difference. Here's $300, don't shoot anybody. Now, would somebody please enlighten me, because I can only see this in one way. I've tried, I've looked at it from every angle. I can only see this one thing. How is this not tantamount to the criminals holding the city for ransom? That's exactly what it is. It's the city's idea for now, but what happens if they decide they're going to take that away?
So basically, they're trying to give the criminals ammo money.
They're basically trying to pay for the ammo. Yes.
No, I'm not being funny.
$300 a month. So it's basically one box a month is what they're going to pay for.
Well, let's give them legally licensed M4 so that they can use them responsibly, and we'll know who the owners are.
So, but honestly, is there any other way to look at it besides the criminals holding the city for ransom? Because if the city decides to take that away, what are the criminals going to do? Okay, if you're not going to pay us, then we're going to shoot people unless you pay us more. What if the criminals decide that they've got the city by the gonads and they say $300? No, make it $2,000, or we're just going to shoot indiscriminately, and we won't do it in our neighborhoods. We're going to go to your suburban neighborhoods and downtown to we're going to go to whatever the fancy part of San Francisco is. They're not going to stay. They're not going to stay in the ghettos. They're just going to go. If you don't pay us, then everybody's fair game. We'll just start randomly shooting people. I mean, what's to stop that? Where's the deterrent from the criminals deciding to? This is straight out of comic books.
These are supposed to be educated people making these. I mean, seriously.
And from my understanding, San Francisco isn't the only one, but yeah, they're one of the bigger municipalities that are talking about it right now. And exactly right. That's where it'll be $300 a month now, and then when they decide they want $400 or they want $500, or like you said, $2,000 or whatever, there's no deterrent there.
This is Lando Calrissian making a deal with Darth Vader to capture Luke Skywalker. And how did that work out for Lando in Cloud City? What did Darth Vader say? Those of you that aren't Star Wars fans, you should be. I would think more of you if you were. Darth Vader said, I am altering the deal. Pray that I don't alter it further. Because Lando's like, that's not the deal we made. Well, it's the deal now. What are you going to do about it? Stormtroopers are here.
Yeah.
So when the criminals, what happens when the criminals decide to organize again, like they did in the 30s, right? In the Prohibition. What happens if there really is a real life Joker that comes along? See what I did there? Organizes all the criminals into one united front, like a criminals union, and which I know that seems a little repetitive, criminal union. But what happens if they actually approach the mayor and say, all right, see, here's the way it's going to be. See, you're going to pay us a lot more money. See, or else we're going to just open fire on all of your townspeople. See? So what happens? Honestly, what's to stop that? What is to stop the criminals from organizing and literally taking over the city and having their own coup, their own insurrection, to where they now own and run San Francisco? It would make CHOP look like Child's Play that it was.
I was gonna say, start turning into Chicago essentially.
Kind of, but without the Chicago at least pretends like the mayor has some power. But what's to stop the criminals? What if San Francisco does that? Okay. What if the Chicago criminals say, hey, Mayor Beetlejuice, where's our money? You better start paying up, or we're going to start shooting Chicagoans. How is this not going to create more problems than the one it doesn't solve? Why is it? Yes, Scott 79 is right. We're going to have Gotham. It's exactly what's going to happen. The criminals are going to band together. The police that are still there, that are worth anything, are going to quit because the corruption is going to run rampant through the police system, worse than it does in certain bad parts of the world now. And there won't be any good cops left. Then we're going to have people that try to defend themselves legally within the bounds of the law, get labeled as vigilantes, become targets for the criminals who don't obey the law, don't give due process, and don't give a knock before they serve a warrant when they go to take you out. So you want to see blood running in the streets? Don't look at Texas right now, who is on day 2 of permitless concealed carry. Look at San Francisco. And honestly, unless you have to be there, I would recommend not going there anytime soon because it's going to get bad. Plus, you got to dodge the poo now anyway. You can get a map.
Well, and that's where even with San Francisco, it's already getting bad. That's where there's a lot of the the organized companies that like, hey, that's where buy this package, go to this hotel, and everything else. There's a lot of those that are telling potential tourists to stay out of San Francisco as is,
Right.
because of the rampant crime they already have. That's where I think there's like a 1 in 3 chance if you park your vehicle anywhere in the city, you're going to come back to smashed windows, and even right out in front of the police station. There's already the dirty needles laying in the gutters in a lot of places, the human feces all over the place. Not just in the bad parts of town, but that's where even in the tourist areas, and if I understand, there's like a park or something like right across the street from City Hall, where I think they set up a safe injection zone, so you'll have people sprawled out on the sidewalk after shooting up right in front of the city, the mayor's house and this kind of stuff.
So
And
you
you
got to
got
not only do you have to step around the piles of human poop to get to City Hall, but now you got to step over the junkies.
Yes.
Awesome.
And you start giving the criminals, I don't care if it's $1 a month, like, well, here's your monthly allowance to not commit crime. It's not going to solve anything.
Yeah, nor is it going to prevent any crime. It's just not. No, you.
Well, what is it? Anything under X amount of dollars? What is it? Anything under
$950.
Yep. So $949 is the cutoff, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where there have been organized groups that have walked into, because I know some people that used to work down there. They would walk in with a shopping cart and a calculator, pulling stuff off the shelves, adding it up. So, okay, well, I can grab this one here because it's the store brand. I can't grab that one there because it's name brand. It puts me over the $950, and then they'd walk out with it.
Yep.
If the owner reports it, the cops tell them to file a report on their website. They won't send an officer out. And if you try to have security to prevent them from doing so, then the cops will come down and hassle the business owner for entrapment of those people trying to shoplift them.
Yeah, it's just completely asinine. But how are decent, good people supposed to stay there, honestly? And I understand, Calaveras, you're the prime example that I think of whenever I hear somebody say, well, if it's that bad, why don't you get out of there? Because how's that going to solve anything?
The California cancer, which I've referred to that for years, is already spreading to other states. It has gotten to the point where I think California is the only state in the union in this last census to actually lose population. And a lot of that is because it's become untenable to live in a lot of our cities. So people have moved out of state, and then they don't put 2 and 2 together, and then they start trying to vote in the same kind of politicians and the same kind of laws that we were doing 15 years ago, which then started the process of becoming what we are. So the California cancer is spreading to Texas, to Nevada, to anywhere else you can think of.
Let's see here. We've got to. Is that just the comment? Okay. In the comments, please keep the language PG-13 just like we do in the panel. Okay, so no, you're absolutely right. You can't do any good if you leave. I just saw this post and I was going to try to reword it and make it my own post here on Facebook. It was something to the effect of how was it? The only way to deal with evil is to stand up to it. If you run away from it, it doesn't get dealt with, basically, is what it amounts to. If you're If you're fearful and you run away, you haven't accomplished anything. The only way to stop evil is to stand up to it. Now, you can be afraid. That's what being brave really means. It doesn't mean you're not afraid. If you're not afraid, you're probably stupid. But if you are afraid and you do it anyway, that's what being brave means. All right, let's see here. Scott had said, because I asked him what he meant by his comment, tell the LGBTQ community that they don't have any additional rights that everyone else doesn't have. I'll tell anybody that. I don't care who you are. And I'm friends with people in that community. I can't keep the initials straight all the time, and I don't mean any disrespect by it, but I just say the rainbow community because it encompasses everybody that way. No, I don't care who you are. You don't have any rights that I don't have. And I don't have any rights that you don't have unless you're a felon, in which case then your stupidity caused that. Or you're just bad luck. If you honestly were falsely accused and were falsely convicted, then I know what happens. And that's just bad luck. But that's very, very rare because our due process system is designed that it's better to let a guilty person walk than imprison an innocent person. So
and it's
I don't care who you love. I don't care who you worship. I don't care what you look like. You and I have the same rights. There is no systemic racism in this country. The system is not racist. The people running it could be, but that's not systemic.
And your rights don't supersede mine.
And mine don't supersede yours. I'm no more important than anybody else that I'm telling this to.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's where, I don't have rights that they don't. They don't have rights that I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And, one person's right doesn't supersede another's. That's, those are the three main points that I usually include.
Exactly right. And it doesn't matter who you are. Just because you do things differently than I do, just because you sin differently than I do, or you love differently than I do, or you worship differently than I do, we're the same in the eyes of the Constitution and the eyes of the government. And our laws are not designed to keep any one group of people, ethnically, racially, anything like that, down. Now, a lot of the programs put in place by people in government are, case in point, this has nothing to do with the Second Amendment, but I still want to talk about this a little bit. State of Texas had a new law go into effect yesterday. And a lot of groups tried to sue, and both the state Supreme Court and I believe there was a district court, both of them refused to allow a stay of the law while they try to fight it. So if there's a fetal heartbeat detected, you cannot have an abortion in Texas now.
And from what I was hearing on the news, I think SCOTUS, they didn't rule on it per se, but they
didn't rule on it, but
they ruled that's where it's, they didn't see anything of, they didn't see a violation,
they ruled
and they weren't going to throw it out.
They ruled against putting a stay on the law and not letting it go into effect is what they ruled, or didn't rule. So now, from what I can understand, the people that are complaining about this, here's what's happening. They think that this is a racist law and it's going to disproportionately affect the black and brown people in Texas. Now, I don't mean to offend anybody if I don't say African American or Hispanic. Just understand that. And it's true. It will disproportionately affect the people of color in Texas because people of color disproportionately have more abortions than the white people in Texas do. So this law is going to make more people of color be born. And that's racist in what way? The people that think that they're not racist are the ones that want to be able to murder unborn black and Hispanic people. Tell me that's not racist. I don't know the stats in Texas. I know in New York City, if you're black and you're born, then you're actually in the minority already just because you were born, because more black babies are murdered before they breathe air in New York City than are born and get to breathe air. So over half of black babies are aborted in New York City. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know that it's that high in Texas, but I do know that there is a disproportionately higher number of black and Hispanic babies aborted in Texas. Everywhere else too, it seems like. So the fact that people want those babies to be not killed, I don't understand how that could possibly be racist. If we want people to not murder their babies, it will just make more black people and more Hispanic people. And I thought that that's the vote that everybody was fighting over, right? The black vote is what swings the election at the presidency every year, or every 4 years. So this is one I don't understand. But again, people have the same number of rights, or the same rights extended to them. One of which is not to murder your child just because you didn't wrap it up. I'm sorry, but the only way that you can guarantee to not get pregnant if you have consensual sex is to not have sex at all. Only 100% surefire way is abstinence. So, and again, people can say what they want. We're going to set aside the victims of sexual assault and the instances where the life of the mother is threatened, which I've not yet ever seen evidence that there is a medical case where killing the baby was the only way to save the mother, but especially at the age at which the fetus is now viable to live outside the uterus. But I digress. I'm not a medical professional. But that's still, if we take those two off the table and we don't include those, still more than 98% of abortions are just because they got pregnant and didn't want to have a kid. So 98% of abortions are used as birth control. So let's teach our kids, if you're not going to abstain, then at least be smart and wrap it up. You don't get to just murder the kid because you were irresponsible. That's the least responsible option to take. So let's see, what's the number now? 63 million babies have been aborted since Roe versus Wade in America alone. That is, from what I understand, the state of California.
That we know of.
That we know of by professionals. Yes, exactly. And somebody earlier, and I had never thought about this, people want to argue, well, if we make them illegal, then there's just going to be more back alley abortions, and women are going to die because it wasn't done by a trained professional. And I'm okay with that, because if you're willing to kill your kid to get out of responsibility, then I don't think the world needs you anyway. And I'm saying that because I'm a statistic. I was allowed to be born. I could have been killed. I'm adopted. So I could have easily been killed. I'm younger than Roe versus Wade. I could have been one of those 63 million, but I'm not. So because my birth mother cared more about me than that, I got to be put into the best family ever. And here I am today ranting about it. So, yeah, turn into an abortion chat. You guys know. Don't get me started on that. Gunpowder's right out there. Abortions are not a means of birth control. I think DJ's comments are either lagging or we're lagging on his system, because we're about a half hour ahead of you, I think, DJ. Let's see. Justin says, didn't Kevorkian go to jail for a similar situation? Not exactly sure. Oh yeah, DJ just commented. He realized he's about 30 minutes behind the live. Yeah. Not sure what happened there, but it's all good. Gunpowder says her heart hurts hearing how many babies. Yeah, it's what's the number worldwide? I think 7 billion or something like that, or it's over a billion anyway, worldwide. And it is it's 63 million just in this country since Roe versus Wade was decided. And so yeah, that we know of. Like, could be more. So yeah, that's 63 million people that didn't get to be born just because, well, okay, whatever, 98% of 63 million. Let's call it over 55 million, because I know it's more than that. 55 million plus lives snuffed out before they had a chance to get going because the birth mother was irresponsible and just didn't want to have a kid. That's all there is to it. It's crap, guys. Total BS. Makes me mad.
Yep.
Literally makes me mad.
Yep.
And those of you with kids, I don't understand how this doesn't piss you off. Gunpowder, you know what? That's a powerful thing to admit to. I did not know that. So you've been there. You've loved a kid so much that you wanted the best for them, and you knew that that wasn't you at the time, and you couldn't provide what was best. So thanks for sharing that, and thanks for loving that baby. I appreciate hearing that. And even if there's somebody out there listening to this who's made that decision and you've had an abortion and you've been through the feelings after that and you've sworn you'll never do it again, I will not look down upon you because nobody's told about this ahead of time. Not enough people are told about this ahead of time. Now, there are people that just think that it's the way to do it and they've had multiple abortions, and I can't consider them human beings. Other than I know the state sees them as that, and they do have the same rights under the Constitution. But in my eyes, they're not even a piece of crap. I would much rather deal with a piece of literal crap than them. But people that have done that and then considered it a mistake, you know what? I can't imagine what that position feels like to be in to make that decision. And I'm glad I've never had to walk anybody through that process. But if that's you, if you've been there and you decided that you made a mistake, you know what? You are loved. You are understood to the extent that I can understand you. And I do not consider you a piece of crap, and I hope you don't either. So Justin Gibbons clarified assisted suicide was horrible. Kevorkian was considered a murderer, but abortion is okay, which is weird. How could Kevorkian be a murderer? He could be an accessory. That could be the extent of it, I think, because he didn't turn the switch on. They turned on their own switch. So, yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna get off of the abortion subject, or else I'm just gonna keep going. It's been about an hour and a half. I think we're just going to wrap stuff up. It was an interesting chat. I don't think I saw more than maybe 12 or 14 people at one time watching, but I'm glad you guys are out there watching live. If you're catching this on the replay, then I'm glad you're out there listening to the replay, either YouTube, Facebook, or one of the audio versions. Just about every place that you can find audio podcasts, you can find us. So if you ran across this one on Facebook and you'd rather just do the audio thing, go to Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, any of the big ones, and just search "Get Off My Lawn" podcast, Sandhills Media, or John Anderson, Jon, Anderson with an SON. So search those and you'll find me. I'm not that Gavin dude. I don't know who that is. I think he's proud to be a boy or something, but not him. I don't claim to be him. Came up with this idea for this podcast, learned after the fact that he's got that one. And sometimes that makes people mad in the comments too. They're like, "Oh, this isn't the one I was looking for." Well, okay. Glad you watched it. Maybe mine's better. I don't know.
You stick around anyway. You might like it.
You might learn something here. Yeah. I'm proud, and I'm a boy. I'm just not a proud boy. So, Justin Gibbons, it's okay that you were late. I'd rather have you late than not at all. So, very, very cool. All right. We're going to just wrap things up. Let everybody have closing thoughts and shameless plugs, of course. Before we do that, just real quick, again, we're multi-streaming on Facebook and YouTube both, and this week's episode is sponsored by Riding Shotgun with Charlie, is who made that happen for us tonight. Riding Shotgun with Charlie is a great interview show that brings you right into the heart of intimate conversations where you can be a fly on the rearview mirror. The show's host, Charlie Cook, talks freedom, firearms, and anything related with guests from all over the country. He just doesn't drop his shows in order. It's okay. Filmed within the safe confines of Charlie's stagecoach, that's his car. Passengers open up about their lives and what is on their mind. Riding Shotgun with Charlie is available on YouTube, Gunstreamer, and the OpsLens app, and most popular podcast platforms, including the Self-Defense Radio Network, sdrn.us. Visit Charlie on the web at writingshotgunwithcharlie.com. Put it up there on the screen if you're watching. Be sure to check out his cool swag page with all new Riding Shotgun with Charlie t-shirts, stickers, patches, and more. And I always like to point this out because not only have I ridden Shotgun with Charlie, my show's just not out yet, but every week we've got the sticker. Oh, the camera doesn't show it. Let's tilt that up just a tad. A little more. Okay, we've got the sticker up here. And every week, Charlie rides Shotgun with me. So, very cool. All right, let's go back over here. All right. You know what? We'll just go in reverse order. But, well, it's kind of reverse order. We're going to go counterclockwise. But people have kind of dropped in and out. So we've shaken up our order a little bit. So, Travis, we're going to start with you. Any closing thoughts and shameless plugs? Now's the time.
Oh, it was a good discussion tonight. We had a variety of topics, and sometimes it's fun just to talk and just kind of hang out as friends and chat about whatever's on our mind. And I think it was good. Yeah, just check out my YouTube channel, Travis P11, and we'll be doing the Patreon drawing at some point here in the next couple days, maybe this weekend, and hopefully have a range test that'll drop next week too. But then check out Caliber Corner, my podcast. It's on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Central Time, the greatest time zone on the planet. And you'll find that over on YouTube. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
When you have your drawing, just remember it's Sand Hills.
Yes.
How you pronounce it.
Well, and you won what, 3
Sand
times
Hills.
in the last 12 months now?
Doesn't
John,
matter.
Let's be honest here.
Doesn't matter. Sand
All
Hills.
right. Twice. You've won twice so far. Okay.
Yeah, it must be bohemian because I could have swore it said Pat in a bunker.
It might have. It's pronounced Sand Hills. I don't care how it's spelled. When you pull that out there, no matter how it's spelled, it's pronounced Sand Hills. I want you to know this.
I'm just going to stack these up and just deliver them by hand because it's cheaper than sending it via UPS, John, just so you know. So I can actually drive and give it to you for less than what UPS charges me to ship. I'm saying
we can meet in the middle. We can go do some supper in Columbus.
We'll go to Columbus. We'll pick up a couple of burritos, and I'll hook you up with your box, and then I'll turn around. I've done that, haven't I?
Not for one of those.
I gave you the box.
We should. Yeah. It hasn't been for one of those. But...
it's too convenient. Yeah. Actually, Defense Dad needs to win next. I can just go run it over to his house. He's like 5 minutes away. So
I know that would seem kind of staged as well. So I'm pretty. Are you guys roommates at this point? Do you guys just have like a big house and he's got one wing and you've got one wing?
I think we should get a frat house going on. I think we should start with like frat house for old dudes. Kind of like old school. Yep.
Yeah, but instead of Greek letters, it's just 2A.
Okay, yeah, there you go. 2 Alpha.
We're gonna call it Dos Alpha.
Dos Alpha.
Dude, I don't know if I ever want to live with another woman, let alone Travis.
Kappa Epsilon Gamma, baby. Keg, you can't keep up with me, bro. That's the only problem.
I've roomed with Travis in a hotel, and let me tell you, it's really not that much different than a woman.
Yeah, I know. And John keeps you so warm, it's unreal.
And Travis is a good snuggler.
What?
Travis is a good snuggler.
You started it. Remember, there was when
you started it.
Look, man, you said it. Whatever happens in Tulsa stays in Tulsa. I'm not going to argue with this about now. Okay, all right.
That part,
my strike wouldn't let me in, so I had to sleep in your room.
That's true. That door was locked. He was not opening it.
He would not take pizza, money.
But here's the thing. I've told this story before, but when Travis and I went down to Tulsa to the Wanamaker Gun Show, what was that, 2018?
I think so.
Yeah, 2018. So we shared a hotel room, and there were 2 beds in there. So we did each have our own bed. Nothing bad happened. We both got out of there with our virtue intact. But when we checked into the room at the front desk, the lady pulled up the room and she's like, "Oh, 2 queens?" And Travis didn't even miss a beat. Travis says, "No, we're both married to women. We're just sharing the room down here." So I don't think she knew what to think about that either. It was awesome.
No, she didn't understand her humor, but
Trust me, Travis is not a homophobe, and I'm not a Travis apologist.
No, absolutely
not a homophobe.
No.
So, All right. Travis, thanks for being here. Calaveras, we'll let you have your shameless plug time.
I appreciate the invite and thanks for letting me on. I know it's been a while since I've been able to make it.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
That's where I try to jump on here when I can. Also, Friday nights over on Ride of the People, which is now on the MK Outdoor Journal channel, formerly known as Budget Guns and Gear. I try to jump on that show when possible. Those are both, and then of course the Saturday morning Caliber Corner podcast are another good one. Yeah, that's right. I drop videos fairly regularly on usually Monday mornings here, 6 a.m. Pacific for my channel for different content.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and if you are in anybody that's listening to this is in California, don't forget about the September 14th special election, where if you want our current governor recalled, you can vote for that. If you don't, you can vote for that. I encourage everyone, no matter which way they vote on that, to pick one of the potential replacements. So that way, if the recall does happen, you have at least gotten your voice heard for who would like the replacement to be as well.
What are the rumblings over there? Is Larry Elder the front runner for challengers?
That varies by the week.
Okay.
And he's facing some legal trouble at the moment, so his numbers may be shifting here pretty soon.
Yeah, that's kind of that happens whenever there's especially conservative challengers. Is let's try to throw some dirt on people and see if we can get any to stick. I know in Texas, Colonel Allen West's wife was harassed a little bit here recently. I saw, but yeah, there's. I don't know that they have the political clout to do a whole lot about it other than just expose the truth. So that's what they're doing.
Yeah, there's currently 46 people on the ballot to potentially replace. And so I've been working on trying to gather my information. I'm trying to potentially get some videos out, giving some quick synopsis on some of them. We'll see if I get it out before the election or not. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so there's 46 potential that are looking to replace him.
Yeah, I think that the governor should just run again because he'd be great right now. Screw your freedom. Get to the gulag. Yeah, that's a bad Schwarzenegger impression, I know. But anyway. Okay, well, September 14th recall election for Gavin Newsom, right? That's his name?
Correct.
So if you're in California, and you want to say so on who's making the decisions as far as mask mandates and lockdowns and whether or not you can have a barbecue or go trick-or-treating or have Thanksgiving dinner at your house with your family, you really should turn out and vote September 14th. So go do that. All right. Pat, you're up next.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on tonight, John. Yeah, it was good discussion tonight. We were kind of all over the place tonight, but you know what? Sometimes those nights are just as good as other nights when we have a topic. So yeah, had a good time. Also picked up another hobby or job, however you want to look at it. I am now a t-shirt official wearer. And,
model. They call that a model, Pat.
Not with this face and this body. But I am a official user and wearer of said garment and tester. So Travis has more details on that, but he's got some new stuff in the works. So yeah, he gave me a couple to test out and see which ones that I liked and just wash, wear, and see which one wears better. So
cool. Very cool.
You can find me on YouTube.
Concept t-shirts.
Yeah, I won't go past any farther than that because there's a lot more details that I don't understand. And yeah, he has the info on and I don't.
So is that basically you're the t-shirt beta tester?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, if you really want to boil it down, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So
yeah, I heard you were a beta, so I was just wondering if that was the case. So.
Well, call me alpha tester because he's going to be the primary person. But no, I mean, I'm hooked up with a Nebraska-based business now, slowly getting set up with them. So I'm pretty excited about it. But It's gonna be cool,
That's
and I'm
cool.
gonna be cheaper than Spreadshirt, so that makes me happy.
Even better. You get the wrinkles ironed out. See what I did there? I'm interested in working with them too, if possible. So you get the foundation laid, and then we'll see what we can do to build some of that up for some Pro 2A Nebraska based stuff. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
One last thing before I slip it on over.
Sure.
Hopefully have another video coming out this weekend with a special guest with my final review on the Smith & Wesson compact that I got, the +9. So, or the
Shield
yeah.
Plus.
Yeah, Shield Plus. Sorry, I got Ruger and too many other things floating around in my head.
It's okay.
But anyway, yeah, hopefully to have that out this weekend or very, very early next week.
Cool.
So,
very cool. All right, and then bat and clean up for us tonight, Defense Dad.
Well, thanks for having me. Good chat. I didn't really talk very much tonight, but
That's okay.
probably a good thing for once. If you want to check me out, just go to Defense Dad at YouTube. I also do a few things on Instagram, but pretty much YouTube. Put out a couple videos recently. I'm trying to get back to one video a week, but work's not quite allowing that every week. But
yeah,
other than that, had fun.
Understandable. All right. Well, all of you, thanks for being here. Those of you out in the live chat, thank you for living and chatting with us. We really appreciate that. But again, if sometimes it's fun just to have these conversations and just kind of go wherever they go. So if you liked it and you know somebody else that you think would enjoy it or learn something from it, then go ahead and please, again, share that link. If you haven't gone to us on the YouTube side and subscribe to the channel, please go do so. And if you have a Facebook page and you haven't yet gone over to both Sandhills Media and Get Off My Lawn podcast pages, please go find both of those and like those pages, follow those as well, so that you can see all the fun, potentially Facebook jail worthy stuff, memes, posts that I put up on the Sandhills Media page. And then we do have the Get Off My Lawn podcast page as well, separate page that you need to go like that one. And I try to keep that just about the podcast and nothing else. But I did put a post up on both sides here recently where we've got somebody booked, and I'm not going to drop names specifically, but here it's going to be later on come October because his schedule is hectic and mine can get hectic. But sometime this October, we will be sitting down with a very familiar face if you watch TV shows on the Outdoor Channel, shows like Gun Stories with Joe Montana. No, it is not Joe Montana. That'd be awesome too. If anybody knows him, we'll try to get him on. But if you watch Gun Stories consistently, especially this latest season, you'll know this face and voice. And also if you watch Hollywood Weapons, you'll know this face and voice. And it's not Terry Shepard either. But again, if anybody knows him, I know we'll try. I think he'd be cool to have on too. I've seen him do some interviews, and he's a very well-spoken, cool guy. So, but anyway, if you can't figure out who it is from there, then you need to go check out some shows and go check out the page because I did put a YouTube link in the comments on my post, so you could figure out who it is. So, go do that on the Facebook side.
If I can add one thing about if you when you go to like those pages, they do have questions and that you need to answer the questions to.
Just the groups.
Sorry?
That's the groups, not the page itself.
Sorry, yes, that's
so
for the page.
We do have a group for people that follow the Facebook page called Get Off My Lawn. We have a group called Dangerous Freedom. We have a group called Every Second Matters. And there are questions that you have to answer in order to gain access to those groups. Yes, thank you. But the page itself, that's public. Anybody can go like the page, follow the page. There's no questions. And I can't control who likes and follows the page. It's a public page. So it's not like my personal page where security's turned up and you have to send me a friend request. And that's my own name. So It's either Sandhills Media or Get Off My Lawn Podcast. I can't put the exclamation mark in the name because apparently you can't put punctuation in the name of the page. I don't know why. So there's no exclamation mark like there should be, but you'll know it's the one. So, or just go to facebook.com/GOML Sandhills, I think is what I had to call it. Try to find a specific link that would work. So go check that out. So, all right, Gary, thank you out there in the chat for throwing out the Patreon link, but that is also in the video description on YouTube and Facebook, both, wherever you're watching this, if you're watching the video. And by the time that this posts up to audio, I will have those links in the description there as well. So you can go find, if you want to support us, we'll take your hard-earned money. I appreciate it. It goes to stuff like buying a new microphone when the other one decides to give us fits and things like that. But if you don't want to give us any cash, totally understandable. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, share. Did I say share? Go ahead and share too. Make sure you share the link and hit the share button. That'd be awesome. So on behalf of Defense Dad and Pat in a Bunker, Travis P11, Calaveras 32 Special, Sandhill Sweetheart, who is still not feeling energetic enough to be in the producer's chair, but good news, guys. She's back to work. 1st of September, she started back, so she's been back for 2 days now. They're half days. She's working part-time, but she's getting back into it. So we just pray that works out and she doesn't push herself too hard, and that her husband would step up and take some of the pressure off of her here at the house. So on behalf of all of us and myself, thank you, all of you, for tuning in. So we shouldn't have been here tonight. The work thing didn't happen, got pushed to next Thursday. So no chat next Thursday. And then, so catch us in 2 weeks. And if that changes again because of weather, I'll try to let people know. But for now, we're going to plan on skipping it next week because I'll be doing a work thing. So we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you for tuning in. We love you. God bless you. But it's time to go. Get off my lawn.